To another Proudmouth live stream. Today we have, and I titled this Where It All Started. And the reason why I titled it this way is because it really changed the course of everything that happened with our company. We started off at Top Advisor Marketing. Kirk went to this event. By the way, I have Stephanie. Stephanie is the general manager of this thing called The Gathering. I'm going to put a link right now into the chat so that everybody can go ahead and take a look at it. It's in the process of posting right now. I'm also going to put it on the screen. Please, please, please take a moment to take a look at Cult Gathering, what it is. But here's the thing. Kirk was there. And he came back and he said, Matt, everything's going to change. And I'm like, you know what? Kirk's not the kind of guy who goes to a conference and then he comes back and says, hey, everything's going to change. Kirk's like, no, everything's going to stay the same. So Stephanie, why in the heck can a very stoic, grounded human being go to an event like The Gathering, come back and want to change everything within their business? Is this normal or is this just a Kirk Lowe thing?
Great question, Matt. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. So, yeah, it's an absolutely great question. And honestly, based on my experience, this is not a normal thing from a conference perspective. I've worked in this space for a very long time. And after being a part of The Gathering for just over a year now, to see the shift in people's mindsets, especially those who are typically, do things, the way they've always been done, that classic, mentality. For me to see the amount of people that have said to me, Stephanie, this changed my life, is so remarkable and uplifting and rewarding. So, it's not normal, but I've now seen with The Gathering, it is just something completely different for people that changes their world.
One of the things that Kirk had said was everything just felt different. And so, those of us who are connected with Kirk and I, who are, by the way, the people who are probably watching this right now, who've been in financial services, like when you walk by a booth, you always feel like you're going to get pitched. And it didn't feel, he explicitly said that. Kirk said, I didn't feel like anybody was pitching. I felt that everybody was generous. Is that by design or is that just because this has been around for a while? Help us understand that though.
Absolutely. So the event's been around for into our 8th year now. And, the team has done a remarkable job with creating this safe space. And honestly, that was one of the biggest feedbacks for me coming in as a third party being brought onto this team. I was blown away with how comfortable it felt, just the energy in the space. Like I said, is extremely safe and comforting. And to your point, I go to tons of conferences and you immediately have that tense energy, like people are going to jump at you and throw their business card down your throat. And so I think it's by design. However, it's evolved into this even more beautiful experience. And again, I get people who say to me, Stephanie, I've been to the South Bys and Collisions and C2s, and while they're incredible events, they said nothing is comparable for the intimate environment that you created. And so we're very intentional about keeping it, like I said, that small, that intimate, and making sure that it's the right people there and that everyone there, whether you're the CMO of Coca-Cola or, a social media manager for a local digital agency, everyone feels on the same level. And it's a space for radical generosity from all different levels.
Well, and that was the other thing Kirk said. So he got to hear Chip Wilson speak, which, by the way, that was kind of the precursor. Well, actually, it wasn't. So he went to The Gathering. We bought Black Stretchy Pants, which is Chip's book. And Kirk said he walked by and there's Chip and he's just hanging out, right? So the CEO of Lululemon is hanging out there and he's got boxes of books. And so Kirk walked up and said, hey, I'd like to buy one of those books. And they're like, no, we're not in earnest. How many do you want? That's not normal. I mean, in especially in our industries, everybody's selling something, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's that I'm so glad that you said that. So people who are involved in planning events, those of you who go to events, I want you to know that there is something different, and it's accessible to you to have an event experience that is not like you have had before. And on top of that, one of the other things that Kirk had said was, he also hung out with the CMO of Spotify who wasn't famous yet, and they were hanging out at the same table, right? And so when you're talking about, the CMO of Nike, which I know have been there, Tesla, Lululemon, all of these humongous companies that have been on the main stage. Zappos, before the Sue died, he was involved in this massively. Because I remember when I talked to Ryan Kill about it. Anyway, okay, it's so great. I built everything up, Stephanie. Now you have an absolute high bar to live up to, which I know you're going to live up to. But let's talk about who's there and what this event looks like. Once again, everybody, in the chat notes, and if we do decide to use this as a podcast, there will be a link to go ahead and sign up for the event. But let's talk about this year's event. What's going on and what's notable?
Absolutely. Well, this has been, as everyone can imagine, quite a unique year, to say the least. And it's been an incredible challenge for us as a small but mighty team to constantly shift throughout the last year. And so, I want to give huge credit to our team, who's been so nimble and brave throughout these challenging times, just like I'm sure many of your businesses on this call have been as well. But for this year, we're really excited. We are executing multiple hybrid events. So we're not just, another Zoom event. We're not just a typical webinar event. We are actually going to have live stages, one stage in Banff, Alberta, Canada, one stage in Los Angeles, California, for some of our North American speakers to be on stage, have that amazing energy and presence, and just to be able to provide that increased level of entertainment and engagement. In addition to those speakers from stage, we are going to have incredible brand leaders from all over the world tuning in and providing their insights. And so this year, we recognize people are tired of Zoom. We're tired of being on our computers. So we just said, if we can at least entertain and inspire and educate people in some capacity, then we're doing our jobs and we're doing justice to the industry. So we're working with some absolutely incredible speakers this year. I would argue this is our best lineup to date, and just absolute powerhouses of brand leaders like Bose from Netflix, Lisa McKnight from Barbie, Kyle Norton from Budweiser, Wolfgang Hoffman from Land Rover. Just the list goes on. And I'm really proud of the team for bringing together, like I said, these really, really inspiring leaders. So it's going to be a 3-day event as a whole, from a content perspective. But the best part is, part of this pass is actually a year-round pass to our community. And like I touched on earlier, Matt, we have this incredible, intimate, exclusive community that we want to be able to start to invite more people into, so they get a taste of the gathering, throughout the months after this April event, leading into hopefully when we can gather together again in Banff April 2022.
You are one of the main reasons why I am aggressively seeking a vaccine. But
I love it.
With that said, who should go to this? I mean, who, if you said, okay, these are the ideal people who get the absolute most out of the gathering, who are those people?
Great question. Typically our audience falls within the C-suite level of executives across a ton of different realms, whether that's, CPG, real estate, finance, HR. It's a huge, huge, broad audience. And really the most exciting part about, having a virtual component is we're able to reach far beyond the borders that we normally would. So that's where, we want to invite, mid-level managers, senior level managers, directors at C-suite as well. But really, like I said, giving people a taste of what we truly believe in and giving people that inspiration, no matter what your title is something that's really important to us this year. So I would say, if it definitely, it is a wide range of titles and industries that are welcome, and I think would honestly truly benefit, because at the end of the day, it's not just about brands and marketing alone. A ton of it comes from, entrepreneurial leadership skills. We have professional trainers coming in to do one-on-one training for people, even on their LinkedIn profiles, to help them elevate their own personal brand. So I like to break it up into 2 categories, both personally and professionally, that you can learn from being a part of this event in this community.
If you could say try to distill a feeling or that preferred outcome. I'm asking you to distill basically what you just said there into just a couple of talking points to say, you come to the gathering, we hope you get or feel or understand what do you want them to leave with?
Mhm. Great question, Matt. I think, I touched on it a little bit previously in regards to those pillars of inspiration, entertainment, and education. So, from an inspiration perspective, I would love people to leave even with just three big ideas that changes their world, and it can be super micro or macro to a business, but those three key takeaways that go, oh my goodness, this is going to change my world or my business or even my professional life, I think is really important. So that inspiration, I hope people take from it, like they have in the past. From an entertainment perspective, absolutely, I want people to go, wow, that was incredible to see Bo St. John from Netflix on a stage in LA, just with her incredible, powerful, booming energy, talking about women's empowerment and leadership as a whole, and being, who you are in the professional space. It's going to be incredibly entertaining. So that's the second pillar. And then from an education perspective, I think we've done a really great job this year at bringing in uh, really not even niche per se, but more tailored experts that will focus on dedicated workshops. So it really provides more of an entertainment or sort of education piece as well, in addition to the entertainment and inspiration. So again, for people to leave with those tangible takeaways that they can apply to their business. And something that we're, really mindful of is whether you're a small, medium, or large size company, it could be just yourself as an entrepreneur. We want the content to be relevant to you, and for you to have those tangible takeaways that you can apply right to your business. I find a lot of attendees sometimes, get intimidated by these massive brands and bold leaders. But at the end of the day, these leaders are coming with these really small, incredibly powerful nuggets for you to take that will spark these big ideas. I mean, you look at Barbie and Traeger and who we're, featuring this year, and they have all started very, very small, just like some of these, these entrepreneurs. So that as a whole, that education, inspiration, and entertainment is really important. I hope people get all three of those this year.
We talk a lot about what we refer to as the perfect podcast formula. And the perfect podcast formula is entertainment, education, storytelling, and then a call to action. So, I mean, the perfect formula is right there. With the inspiration component of what you're talking about, and I like the idea of, and why I kind of put you on the spot with the three things. So there's the call to action, right? The organizers of this want you to go away feeling inspired, educated, and then have three ideas, right? Three things that you can take back. And it was interesting when Kurt came back, he said he was talking to somebody. I don't remember who it was now, but it was a really big freaking company. I mean, like monstrously large company that is a household name for everybody. And he was talking to their CMO, and they were talking about a cult like brand, right? So that was, that's still a big fill. If you look at Barbie, I mean, come on, is there more of a cult like Land Rover? Oh my God, right? Land Rover is about as cultish in cars, I think, as you could maybe get. Maybe Porsche, maybe, but
Yes, we've had Porsche before.
yeah. So, you look at that, and do you want the people who you serve, and whatever that is, right? Whether that's providing advice, providing professional services, widget making, or whatever, do you want people to believe what you believe so strongly about who you are, what you do, and who makes you unique and different, that it's not really selling anymore,
Mhm.
right? Um, Land Rover doesn't have to sell anymore. Barbie doesn't really have to sell anymore. It's freaking Barbie. It's a Land Rover. You want the Barbie, you want the Land Rover,
Have to
right?
have it.
And you want Netflix, right? I mean, and so from three very, very different marketing perspectives, in my opinion. So ask yourself that. right? Do you want to learn how to do that? And do you want to meet other people who have that same fierce passion? And if so, then you need to sign up for the gathering. What am I missing?
Not much, honestly. You're doing a great job. Honestly, Matt, I think the one of the other, like, probably one of my favorite things that I see come out of the content and from the attendees, that it's not only, that inspiration, those key learns for, how to execute, your business externally, but a lot of it talks about internally and building that cult-like following within. You start to build from within first and then build externally. And I think, as we continue down this, really unique path in this world, all these brand leaders are recognizing that they've made big mistakes. Spotify, we had a session as part of our community. We had a session with him last month, and he talked about all the mistakes that he's made as a leader from an internal perspective. And that, COVID's put up, shed a new light on that. And that's the CMO that you, Kurt, had mentioned that he met, who's incredible. And so that, like, learning about those internal engagements, I think, are really, really powerful. And at the end of the day, too, these speakers, because it's that safe space, they are incredibly vulnerable. Like, there are tears shed on stage, tears shed in the audience. One of my favorites is Jeff Cottrell, was the former CMO of Coca-Cola, was in tears in his presentation. And he was so incredibly moving that people talk about it to this day. And you hear people who have been for the last 8 years straight that say they remember that first year and how much of an impact these speakers had on their life. So for me, that's incredibly fulfilling, and I know for the rest of our team as well.
The Black Stretchy Pants book by Chip Wilson, that was the first 80% of the book was all about his internal organizational structure, making sure he's hiring people for the right stuff. And for those of you who are business owners, do you have a very clear and distinct value base that first off, that you can rattle off? And two, is it also how you want your clients to interact with you? And Stephanie, I think that's what we've really learned from talking to you and talking to the people at Communo and talking to people that Kirk is still involved with the gathering, is if your people show up to work and they're excited about helping you further your mission because they feel part of it, it's a lot easier for clients when they come on board to feel that, because it's not just from Stephanie. Stephanie's the GM, everybody. But you understand, she's in charge of a huge freaking event here, right? But you can feel her passion and hear her passion, and the team that she's surrounded herself with are going to have that passion too, so that everybody who's on the gathering team that you run into are going to have that same focus. Do you have that in your business? I think we forget that sometimes, especially as entrepreneurs, that some of our greatest advocates can be the people who we brought into our family to help us work there. And Stephanie, I think that's absolutely fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about the registration, right? So the link that I put in the chat, I'm going to put it up on screen again. What should people do here? Are there different levels? Let's break this down a little bit more, please.
Yes, great question. So yes, there are 2 different pass types for our event in our community this year. So the first pass is called our Icon Pass. That's our standard pass that gives you access to just the stage content as a whole. So you get access to the most of the main sessions as a whole. Now, for the biggest bang for your buck, I would say, is the next tier, which is our VIP Illuminati Pass. And that comes with a very long list of content that you are included in. That's the stage content that is virtual inner sanctums that happen monthly. So we, like I said, because we have this community now, we're having monthly discussions where you're in an intimate virtual environment, having an open discussion with Alex Bodman, CMO of Spotify, or Jeff Cottrell, former Coca-Cola. So it's, again, we are very intentional about those experiences. So in addition to those VIP passes, you have access to the inner sanctums. You have access to dedicated workshops. Again, if you're looking for something more tailored to your business or your, personal and professional growth, and that includes those LinkedIn profile one-on-one training sessions. And then you also receive a $200 discount off of your pass for the Gathering Summit next year. Again, we're hoping that everyone can be back together gathering again, and we've just received rave reviews about what we've done leading up to this year and this hybrid experience. But I think everyone's really truly looking forward to being back together, and that that in-person environment. So those are the two different passes here, Matt. When you
Okay.
go to the website, cultgathering.com/global, you'll see the two different passes and what's included for each. So Icon Pass comes at a lower price point, which is, we understand people, have, different budgets this year. We want to make it accessible for everyone. So that's why we took that approach this year.
Kirk specifically highlighted the inner sanctum breakouts.
Yes.
And, when you have the opportunity to have somebody's ear and just kind of ask them some questions, and you're asking like unbelievable people questions, that to me, try to quantify that over the year. Cause right. That's right. You said that, right? That
Yes.
the high level pass, the Illuminati, that's for the whole year. Please take a look at that, everybody, and see if that's something that, you can reallocate some of those dollars so that you have access to those. You're going to see Kirk and I in those rooms, by the way, because we have the higher level the pass, just because we got so much absolute joy out of that. And for me, it's all secondhand, Stephanie. I haven't done this yet. And so I'm freaking out. Like I'm super excited and nervous and excited. And,
Amazing.
After just meeting some of the people who have been involved through you, through Ryan, through Rob Howard, through some of the people that we've met through our whole process of our rebrand. And like, I'm getting introduced to people who I don't feel like I'm in their league. But the funny part about it is, Stephanie, and this is what makes me the happiest, is they don't think I'm not in their league.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I was just meeting with this guy. So we've got 3 live of these every Monday from the next 3 weeks. And they were all people who reached out to me either because of you, because of Communo, or because of my interview with Ryan Gill. And a couple of them I'm really nervous about. Because, these are like huge heavy hitters, like people who are changing the world. And I just feel really, really honored that I even have the opportunity. And it's all because of the feeling you guys have created. Stephanie said it right at the beginning. It's like in a level playing field. That's exactly what Kirk said. Walked in, level playing field.
Mm-hmm.
That is not how conferences are built. It's not supposed to be that way. You're supposed to have the snooty tooty people are on stage that are kind of untouchable. And if you get lucky, you can meet them at their booth afterwards for $29.95 for a signature, right? That's the antithesis of the feeling. And I know that when the gathering was started, that it was very, very intentional. So in the time that we have left, one, what should I have asked you that I didn't? And then 2, let's remind everybody again how to sign up for this year.
Yes, absolutely. Well, first of all, Matt, I think you're a little too humble, because I think you deserve these great conversations, and all the people that you're meeting, whether it's through us or through your other efforts. So really grateful to be a part of this conversation today and just spread the love, for the gathering. And well, again, truly, it's one of my favorite parts, like I said, is that really safe space. And again, I know we can't gather in person together this year, but to your point, when you walk into that level playing field, you could literally be sitting at the bar beside, the SVP of Under Armour. And it's probably my favorite thing has been to meet all these people and see how humble they are. You would never guess that this amount of high profile people are this humble and willing to give very, very generously with their knowledge. And so it truly is, honestly, I've never experienced anything like it. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on the team. I came from a different event space, and I'm truly blown away for what this company and this team has built. So I think you asked me, honestly, everything, that everyone needs to know. I think, if you were to ask me, who I'm looking forward to the most to hear speak, that's a tough call. I get to work directly with these speakers. And like I said, they really, truly are all incredible. But the one I would say that I'm fascinated with, not because of the brand she works for, but for her as a human being, is Bozoma St. John from Netflix. Yeah. And, I'll say this because I tell everyone this, I think everyone these days, when they have conversations, they get distracted or look at emails and phones. And she stared at me for 45 minutes straight, didn't even move a muscle and was so engaged and gave me every ounce of her energy. And here's this one of the most, famous CMOs in, the world is giving me all of that and truly made me feel like I was important and that I mattered. And I try to tell everyone that because it's so simple to do, even on these Zoom calls that we're all sick of. And so, and the way she speaks about being bold and brave and authentic, and you hear those cliche terms thrown around a lot. But for anyone who hasn't or isn't familiar with Bozoma St. John, please look her up because she is an absolute powerhouse and a truly bright light. So I think she is probably one of the ones that I'm really looking forward to. But like I said, everyone, I have total faith and confidence that they are going to be able to inspire anyone that attends the Gathering Global. So without further ado, yes, so like Matt said, head to www.cultgathering.com/global. You can also reach out to our team through that website if you have any additional questions. We will be happy to answer those for you.
Well, Stephanie, I'm going to have you back when you're not as busy as you are right now, which thank you for giving us some time today. I really am grateful for this. I'd like after the event is over, I'd love to have you back on and actually have you on our show, our podcast, and talk about the event. All right, so let's talk about, since it'll be in the rear view mirror, which will allow you to have a little bit of reflection. I'd love to pick your brain a little bit more about it. Maybe talk about some of the highlights that you were expected highlights, some of the feedback that you've gotten. I really want people to understand that there is a different kind of conference out there that was built differently for a reason, because people were tired of the same sort of stuff. But it's even better because it's all about this, how to get your voice out there, right? So they're people who want the same thing that you do, which is to rise above the noise and to be your own loud. That's what they want. Everybody there, that's all they're trying to do. Just get out of the noise, get the noise out of the way, and just let you, just like you said with her from Netflix, and giving you 45 minutes of eye-to-eye contact and direct focus. That is a gift that all of you can learn how to do scaling wise, because I'm telling you, what was her last name again?
Bozoma St. John.
Bozoma St. John. She's not doing one-on-one meetings with everybody to close business. She's got a whole team. But if the team can embody that mission, that vision that they build internally, and then after they build it internally, they are able to go ahead and extend out to the world. Every one of the brands that are on that list, which is a beautiful list that you can go to, cultgathering.com/global. Make sure you take a look at who's there. If there's one person who you would love to just feel their presence, it's worth every freaking penny. So Stephanie, you're a rock star. Thank you so much. I thank you for taking time out of the craziness, because we're only a couple weeks away, right? So thank you for giving us time, and I can't wait to get you back on the show. You have a magnificent day.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for your time, Matt.